Hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I want to start today by asking you to do something a little different. I want you to, well, just close your eyes for a second.
Sure.
Unless you're driving. Please do not close your eyes if you're behind the wheel.
Right, yeah. Keep your eyes on the road if you're driving.
Exactly. But if you're safe somewhere, just close them. Now I want you to conjure up your absolute dream travel destination. Just, where does your mind go?
It's a really interesting exercise, isn't it? For some people, it's instant sensory overload. Like they immediately smell the street food in Bangkok. They actually feel that humid air hit them.
Yeah, for me, it's always Japan. I'm standing under a cherry blossom tree, and there's just this gentle wind. It's perfect. But for others, it might be the silence of a misty mountaintop in Peru or the chaotic energy of a market in Marrakesh.
And that visualization you're doing right now, that is the core of what we're talking about today. We are exploring the entire concept of transportation.
But not just the planes and trains and automobiles kind.
No, definitely not. We are looking at a dual journey today. Leg one is literal. How do we use language to navigate the physical world? We have a stack of sources here, ESL modules, linguist breakdowns from English Unlocked and English Radar, that expose just how messy our vocabulary for travel actually is.
It is so messy.
It really is. We're going to clean up the trip versus travel versus journey debate once and for all.
And we are going to fix the grammar of experience,
Yeah.
that nagging doubt of, did I go or have I gone? We're going to solve that today.
But then we hit the second leg. Once you've had that experience, once you've stood under those cherry blossoms, how do you transport someone else there? How do you take a memory and turn it into a story that lands in someone's ear and really sticks?
Right. And this is where we pivot to the art of audio storytelling. We've got resources from Dutch podcasting guides like Sharpen for podcasts, academic papers on audio production from Leiden University, and even legal storytelling frameworks from the Idaho Law Foundation.
It's essentially a masterclass in communication. Whether you're checking into a hotel in Paris or recording a voice note for a friend or scripting a deep dive for thousands of people, the goal is exactly the same. You want to be understood and you want to be felt.
So the mission is clear. We're going to make you a better traveler and a better storyteller.
Let's hit the road.
Leg one, the vocabulary of movement. I always thought I had a handle on this. I mean, I speak English, I travel. But looking at these sources, specifically English Unlocked, I realized I might be using these words interchangeably when I really shouldn't be.
The big three.
Yes, the big three. Trip, travel, and journey.
It is the Bermuda Triangle of English vocabulary. Learners get completely lost here, but honestly, so do native speakers.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem is that in many other languages, French, Spanish, German, these concepts often just roll into one or two words. But in English, we've sliced the pie very thinly.
Let's start with travel, because it feels like the biggest word of the three.
It's the umbrella. But here's the catch that trips everyone up. Travel is almost always an uncountable noun or a verb. It is the concept of movement. It's the activity itself.
So when I hear someone say, how was your travel?
It lands wrong, doesn't it? It sounds clunky.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're trying to take a broad abstract concept and turn it into a specific item. You can't have a travel. You can't have three travels.
But wait, I've definitely heard people say safe travels, plural.
Yeah.
Is that just us breaking our own rules?
Good catch. Safe travels is an idiomatic exception. It's a wish. It's like saying best wishes. But you wouldn't say, I had 3 difficult travels last year. That breaks the logic. You would say travel is tiring or I love to travel. It's the category. Think of it like the word work. You don't say I had a good work. You say I had a good day at work.
Okay, that clicks perfectly. So if travel is work, then a trip is the day at work.
That is a perfect analogy. A trip is a countable event. It has a start, a middle, and an end. It usually implies a return. You go to Florida, you stay there, you come back. That entire circle is a trip.
And that's why we can count them. I took 3 trips last year.
Precisely. And notice how we combine it. A business trip. A day trip. We don't say business travel to describe the specific event.
We might say I do a lot of business travel.
Exactly, meaning the general activity. But the event itself is the trip.
It's funny because trip feels so casual, but it's actually the most structurally rigid of the words. It demands a return ticket.
It really does. If you go somewhere and never come back, that's emigration, not a trip.
Fair point. So where does journey fit in? Because to me, journey sounds, I don't know, heavy. It sounds like something Frodo does in Lord of the Rings.
It is a bit epic, isn't it? And marketing teams love that. They love to sell you a journey because it sounds transformative.
Oh, for sure.
But linguistically, journey is very technical. It refers strictly to the process of moving from point A to point B. It emphasizes the distance and the time.
So the journey is the part where I'm cramped in seat 34B, eating bad pretzels.
Yes, that is the journey. If you fly from London to Sydney, you wouldn't say the trip took 24 hours unless you mean you flew there, stepped out of the airport, and flew immediately back.
Which would be terrible.
Right. You would say the journey took 24 hours.
Because we're focusing on the movement itself.
Exactly. The trip is the package. The flight, the hotel, the beach, the return. The journey is the grind of getting there.
This explains why reality TV shows always talk about the contestant's journey.
Oh, completely. My weight loss journey, my love journey. They aren't talking about a vacation. They are talking about a difficult process of moving from one state of being to another. It implies effort.
So if I take a quick weekend break to Paris, it's a trip. The train ride there is the journey, and the thing I love doing generally is travel.
You've nailed it. You are now linguistically cleared for takeoff.
Speaking of takeoff, let's talk about the verbs. Because knowing the nouns is one thing, but the anxiety of travel usually happens in the verbs. The sources from EC English and ESL Pod categorize these into logistics, movement, and exploration.
And English, being English, relies heavily on phrasal verbs here. These are those little two-part verbs that drive learners crazy but add so much flavor for native speakers.
The first phase is always the most stressful, the morning of.
Is setting off.
Yes, to set off. It sounds so intentional.
It does. We set off at 5 a.m. It means to start the journey. It implies you've crossed the threshold of your door and there is no going back. It's distinct from just leaving. Leaving is physical. Setting off is the beginning of the mission.
And usually if you're setting off, you're also coordinating with people. You might have to pick up someone.
Right. I'll pick you up on the way. It's efficient. But consider the opposite end of that journey, the arrival. We have this great little phrasal verb, get in.
What time does your flight get in?
It's so much more natural than what time does your flight arrive. Get in feels closer to the action. It implies the train pulling into the station or the plane pulling into the gate. It's the moment of relief. We finally got in at midnight.
But between setting off and getting in, we have the actual movement. And for planes, we have takeoff.
The moment gravity loses.
But the sources also mentions speed up and slow down. These seem basic, but they are crucial for narration.
They are, but think about the context. You speed up to overtake someone. You slow down to look at something. These verbs control the pacing of your story. If you tell a story and say the car accelerated, it sounds like a police report.
Oh yeah, it's very clinical.
But if you say we sped up to catch the sunset, it sounds like an adventure.
That's a really good tip. Phrasal verbs often sound more emotional than their Latin equivalents. Accelerate is cold, speed up is active.
Always choose the active verb if you want to connect.
Now, once we were there,
Yeah.
we got in, we unpacked, we want to explore. The source uses look around.
I'm going to look around the city. It's casual. It implies curiosity without a strict agenda. You aren't inspecting the city. You aren't surveying it. You're just letting your eyes wander.
Unless you get lost.
Yeah.
Or realize you forgot your wallet. Then you have to turn back.
The most painful phrasal verb of all. To return to the start, the defeat.
I feel like turn back carries so much disappointment. We had to turn back because of the snow.
It does. It cuts the journey short.
You know, we've been talking about the mechanics, but travel is also an identity. The sources from English Radar included these idioms that describe how we travel. And I feel like everyone listening probably fits into one of these buckets.
Oh, absolutely. These idioms are like personality tests. The most common one is having itchy feet.
I have chronic itchy feet.
The medical diagnosis, it just means the inability to settle down, the constant desire to be elsewhere. It's related to the travel bug.
But having itchy feet leads to a specific lifestyle. You might end up living out of a suitcase.
Which is an incredibly evocative image. It implies transience. You never unpack. Your life is folded up, ready to go. For some, that's ultimate freedom. For others, that's a nightmare. They want a home from home.
A home from home. That's the goal for the comfort traveler, right? Finding that cafe in a foreign city that feels exactly like your living room.
Exactly. It's about replicating comfort in a new setting. But then you have the adventurous types, the ones who go off the beaten path.
I always try to do this, and I usually just end up lost.
Well, there is a fine line between off the beaten path and in the middle of nowhere.
Very true. Off the beaten path implies you found a secret gem. Middle of nowhere implies you found absolutely nothing.
And usually if you are off the beaten path, you might be traveling on a shoestring.
The budget traveler.
Yes, the image of the shoestring. Thin, fragile, barely holding things together. It means traveling with very little money. It contrasts heavily with traveling and style.
I think my 20s were defined by shoestring, and I'm really hoping my 40s will be defined by style.
That is the natural progression of the traveler's life cycle.
Okay, so we've unpacked the vocabulary. We know our trips from our journeys. But now we have to deal with the monster, the grammar of experience. The sources from Great British English highlight this battle between past simple and present perfect.
The eternal struggle. I went versus I have gone. I visited versus I have visited.
To a lot of people, these sound identical. Who really cares?
The listener cares even if they don't consciously realize it. Because these two tenses answer two completely different questions.
Break it down for us.
Past simple. I went to Paris. That answers the question when. It is anchored in time. It is a finished event on a calendar. The source gives markers like last year in 1999, yesterday. If you use past simple, you are acting as a historian. You are reporting a fact.
Okay, so I visited the Eiffel Tower in 2015. Fact. Done.
Present perfect. I have visited Paris. That answers the question who. It is anchored in you. It is about your life experience up to this exact moment. The time doesn't matter. The marker words are ever, never, already, yet. If you use present perfect, you are acting as a storyteller or a worldly person.
So if I say I have visited the Eiffel Tower, I'm telling you that I possess that memory. It's part of my identity now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source used a brilliant example to illustrate this confusion, the schnitzel versus pastel de nata scenario.
Oh, I love this part. Let's play this out.
Okay, imagine you just came back from Vienna. I ask you, did you try the schnitzel?
I would say, yes, I tried it on Tuesday.
Right. Past simple.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking about that specific trip. But now let's shift. We're just chatting about life goals. I say, I am hungry. And you say,
I have always wanted to try a real pastel de nata.
have always wanted. It started in the past, and it is still true right now. It connects the past to the present. If you said, I wanted to try a pastel de nata, it implies you don't want to anymore. The desire is dead.
That is such a subtle but powerful difference. I wanted means I gave up. I have wanted means the dream is still alive.
Correct. And think about how this changes your travel stories. If someone asks, have you been to Thailand? And you say, I went in 2010, you are shutting down the conversation. You were just giving a date. But if you say, yes, I have been there, you are opening the door to the experience.
It's the difference between reading a resume and reading a biography.
That is a beautiful way to put it.
And this applies to those irregular verbs, too. Go versus have gone. Fly versus have flown.
Yes. I flew on a 747 creates a mental image of a specific flight. I have flown on a 747 creates an image of you as an experienced traveler.
So really, grammar isn't just about rules. It's about framing. It's about telling the listener where to focus, on the clock or on the person.
And that, my friend, is the perfect bridge.
I see where you're going with this.
Because what are we doing when we choose between past simple and present perfect? We are making an editorial choice. We are deciding how to curate information for an audience. We are deciding what is actually important.
And that is exactly what a podcaster does.
It is. We are pivoting now from leg 1 to leg 2. You've had the trip. You survived the journey. You have the experience stored in your present perfect memory. Now, how do you get it out? How do you write it down so that when someone listens to it, they feel like they are right there with you?
This is the shift from speaking English to writing for the ear. And our sources here are the Guide Schuven for Podcasts, the Idaho Law Foundation, and the Leiden University papers. They all agree on one thing. Writing for audio is not the same as writing for the eye.
It is a completely different medium. If you take a beautifully written article and read it aloud, it will almost always sound dense, stiff, and confusing.
Why is that, though?
Because the listener is blind. When you read text, you can skip back if you miss a word. You can see the paragraph breaks. You can see the headers. In audio, the listener is tracked in the stream of time. They can't look back. So you, the writer, have to guide them constantly.
So before we even type a single word of the script, we need a plan. Leg 3, pre-production.
The packing list. You wouldn't go on a trip without checking your passport. You shouldn't hit record without checking your mission statement.
This comes from the teleprompter.com source and the ESL business modules. They talk about defining the objective.
It sounds a bit corporate, but it's creative salvation. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want the listener to feel or know by the end of this recording?
Just one thing.
Just one. If you try to make them laugh and teach them grammar and explain the history of Peru and sell them a mattress, you will fail at all of them.
The boiling the ocean problem.
Exactly. This is a very common mistake in podcasting. The source mentions that people try to cover topics that are way too broad. I'm going to do a deep dive about travel.
That's impossible. It's just too big.
It's the ocean. Don't boil the ocean. Boil a cup of tea. Do a deep dive on how to pack for a weekend in Paris. Or the best street food in Osaka.
So niche is better.
Niche is stickier. The Idaho Law Foundation source had a great point about this regarding legal content. If a lawyer starts a show called The Law, nobody listens. It's boring. But if they do one on tort reform nuances in 2024, the right people will listen religiously.
Because you are solving a specific problem for a specific audience.
And that leads to the next checklist item: know your audience. And more importantly, avoid the curse of knowledge.
The curse of knowledge.
It's when you know something so well that you completely forget what it's like not to know it.
Oh, I see this with tech people all the time.
The Dutch source uses the example of IT security. If you're talking to other IT geeks, you can say the firewall blocked the DDoS attack via the port. That's fine. But if you say that to a general audience, they just hear white noise.
So how do you fix it?
You use an analogy. You say a firewall is like a bouncer at a club. It checks everyone's ID and kicks out the troublemakers.
That paints a picture instantly.
Hmm.
And that brings us to the actual writing. Leg 4, writing for the year.
This is where the magic happens. We need to create invisible visuals.
I love that phrase, invisible visuals.
Since the listener can't see, you have to hallucinate for them. You have to give them the exact ingredients to build the image in their own mind.
We have a sample script from the Idaho Law Foundation called Small Town Voices. And the difference between the bad version and the good version is purely detail.
Right, a bad script says the kids were playing soccer outside.
Okay, so I see generic kids. I see a generic ball.
Now listen to how the source rewrites it for the ear. It describes a cracked lot behind the library. It mentions scuffed sneakers. It mentions the sound of the ball hitting the chain link fence.
Cracked lot. Chain link fence. Suddenly I'm not just seeing soccer. I'm seeing a specific socioeconomic setting. I'm seeing weeds growing through concrete. I'm feeling the grit.
That is the power of specificity. The room was messy is boring. The room was littered with empty pizza boxes and overflowing ashtrays tells a whole story.
It's show don't tell, but for the ears.
Exactly. And the other golden rule for audio writing is the coffee break test.
I use this one all the time.
It's the ultimate filter. When you write a script, read it out loud. Then ask yourself, if I said this to a friend during a coffee break, would they punch me?
Or at least look at you like you're an alien.
If you've written it, is of the utmost importance that we leverage our strategic assets to optimize the synergy of the journey.
You fail the test.
You fail miserably. No human talks like that. In the coffee break, you'd say, we need to use our best tools to make this trip work.
Simple, direct, active.
Active verbs are the engine of audio. Passive voice is the break.
The ball was kicked by the boy.
Passive. Boring. It puts the object before the actor. The boy kicked the ball. Active. Dynamic. It moves the story forward.
It seems like such a small thing, but over 60 minutes of audio, those passive sentences pile up like sludge.
They do. They exhaust the listener's brain because the brain has to work backward to figure out who did what. Active verbs feed the brain energy.
Speaking of energy, let's talk about pacing. The sources mention a specific word per minute count.
125 to 150 words per minute. That is the absolute sweet spot.
So if I'm writing a 10-minute script,
you need roughly 1,500 words. This is just math, but it saves you so much time. Don't write a 5,000-word essay for a 10-minute slot. You'll end up rushing, and when you rush, you lose the listener.
Okay, so we've got our active verbs, our invisible visuals, and our word count. But how do we actually organize it? Leg 5, structure and flow.
You can have beautiful sentences, but if they are just in a pile, it's not a story. It's a mess. The Leiden University source emphasizes the classic structure. Opening, middle, ending.
It sounds basic.
It is basic, but basic works. The opening is the hook.
Like asking someone to visualize their dream destination.
Exactly. You have about 30 seconds. If you don't grab them with a question, a shocking fact, or a joke, they're gone. They've swiped to the next thing.
The stakes are high.
Then you have the middle, the meat. This is where you deliver on your promise. But because the listener is blind, you need signposting.
Signposting.
Okay.
Let's unpack this. Here is the conflict. Now, moving on.
Those little phrases are crucial. In text, we have paragraphs. In audio, we have signposts. You have to tell the listener when you are changing lanes. If you just jump from topic A to topic B without a signpost, the listener gets whiplash.
I really like the sandwich method mentioned in the source for this.
The sandwich. Tell them what you're going to say. Say it. Then tell them what you said.
It feels repetitive when you write it.
It feels incredibly repetitive on the page, but you have to remember the listener is doing the dishes, they're driving, they're distracted. That repetition isn't annoying, it's a lifeline. It anchors the information.
So we just talked about structure. Now we're going to talk about sound. That's a signpost.
Perfect. And speaking of sound, let's talk about SFX, sound effects.
The Small Town Voices script used these. The sound of a soccer ball kick and laughter.
Sound is a transport mechanism, but it has to be used to enhance, not distract.
Right. Don't put a heavy metal guitar solo under a tender moment.
And don't overdo it.
Yeah.
You want ambient noise, the sound of a cafe, birds chirping, wind. It creates a 3D environment. It tells the listener where they are without you having to say we are outside.
It's part of the invisible visuals.
It is. Sound is the most direct path to the emotions. A car horn creates instant tension. A gentle stream creates instant calm. Use that power.
What about using other voices? Interviews.
Guests are great. They add credibility and variety, but the source warns don't overscript them.
You want the real voice.
You do. If a guest stumbles or laughs or pauses to think, keep that in. That is humanity. If you edit out every breath and every pause, they sound like a robot. You want the real texture of conversation.
Okay, we have the script. We have the plan. Leg 6. The technical and practical. This is where people freeze up. They think I don't have a studio.
And the sources, especially Lighting University, are screaming, you don't need one.
You really don't. The technology has been totally democratized.
You need a quiet room. A closet full of clothes is actually the best acoustic studio in most houses because the clothes absorb the echo.
The closet studio. Classic.
And you need a decent USB microphone, a Blue Snowball or a Yeti, or even a handheld Zoom recorder. You do not need a $5,000 setup. You just need clear audio.
But what if I'm nervous? What if I keep losing my place in the script?
Teleprompter.com has a suggestion here, which is, surprise, surprise, use a teleprompter. But the tip is valid. Scrolling text can help you keep your pace steady, but you have to master the art of reading without reading.
How do you do that?
It's all about eye contact.
But who am I making eye contact with?
The microphone. It sounds silly, but if you look down at a piece of paper, your throat constricts and your voice goes down. If you look up and out, your voice projects. You sound confident. You have to visualize the listener standing right behind the mic.
That goes right back to the coffee break test. You look your friend in the eye.
Exactly. Speak to one person. Not hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Say hello, you. It's intimate.
And finally, the feedback loop.
You don't just launch and leave.
No, you have to listen.
Look at the data. Did people drop off at minute 15? Go listen to minute 15. Was it boring? Was the audio bad? Learn. Iterate. Improving your storytelling is a journey, not a trip.
I see what you did there, bringing it all back home.
I had to close the loop.
So let's synthesize this. We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have. We started with the vocabulary of movement. We learned that travel is the abstract noun, trip is the countable event, and journey is the process of getting there.
We learned to set off early, speed up when the story drags, and look around for details. We learned that we don't want to turn back, and we definitely want to avoid the middle of nowhere.
We mastered the grammar of experience. We know that the past simple is for the historian answering when. I visited last year. And the present perfect is for the storyteller answering who. I have visited many times. It's calendar versus person.
And then we took those experiences and learned how to package them. We learned about the mission statement, the invisible visuals, the coffee break test.
We learned to avoid passive verbs like the plague. We learned to structure our deep dives with hooks and signposts. And we learned that sound is a powerful tool for emotion.
Whether you are explaining your trip to Japan to a friend or scripting a deep dive on cybersecurity for a global audience, the core skill is exactly the same.
It is transportation. You are moving an idea from your brain into someone else's, and you want it to arrive safely, clearly, and with real impact.
So here is our final encouragement to you. Hit the road.
Literally or creatively.
Grab your passport or grab your microphone. Go find a story. Go off the beaten path.
And remember, getting lost is part of it. If you get lost in a city, you find a hidden gem. If you get lost in a script, you find a new angle. Embrace the detour.
And I'll leave you with this thought. We live in a world of absolute noise. Everyone is shouting. Information is everywhere. But the person who can curate that information, the person who can organize it into a clear, engaging journey and narrate it with a genuine human voice,
That is the person who will actually be heard.
the storyteller owns the future.
Indeed they do.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Safe travels, everyone.